Aimsio purchase orders give accounts a seamless way to submit and approve their non-recurring third-party spending. Aimsio automatically monitors the purchase order activity in your job performance report to ensure your projects stay on track and on budget. To create a purchase order, navigate to the Purchase Orders page and click New PO. Select the job this purchase order is for and click Create. All purchase orders require an approver, vendor, and PO type. Approvers will be responsible for reviewing the order before it can be billed back to customers. To add purchases, scroll down in the form and use the New Items to Purchase button. Include a description, quantity, and rate. There are no limits to the number of items that can appear on a single PO. When the order is ready, click Save and Submit. Once a purchase order has been submitted, Aimsio will notify the selected approver via SMS notification. Assigned approvers can access the PDF version of the purchase order on their mobile device and can text back the PO number to approve it. This is convenient for approvers that might not have immediate access to Aimsio's web portal. On the web, you can approve or reject a purchase order by clicking on the action button beside a PO and changing the status to approve or reject. When a purchase order is approved, the PDF version of the form will be regenerated and the unapproved watermark will be removed. Before the cost of a purchase order can be billed back to your client, the items on that order will need to be converted to what we call a non-recurring billable item. NRBs are one of Aimsio's proprietary formats for charging back third-party expenses. NRBs are also tracked as a cost in your job performance report. NRBs can be created once a purchase order has been approved by receiving against the order. Users can receive against the order by clicking on the action button to the left of a PO and changing its status. There are three options for receiving a PO: receive partially, receive remainder, and receive completely. If users want to consolidate all items on the PO to a single chargeback item and do not require unique WBS activities for each item, they can use the Receive Completely action. A window will appear asking users to save the new non-recurring billable item. Many of the fields here are pulled from the purchase order. The markup amount can be adjusted for each NRB, but the default value that appears here is pulled from the original job form using the default third-party markup field. Users can also include an attachment, like a vendor invoice. When this item gets charged back on a ticket, the attachment will automatically append itself to an additional page on the PDF version of the ticket. If the NRB is only being tracked for cost and will not be billed back to your customer, click the internal checkbox to hide this item from tickets, preventing any users from accidentally charging it. A vendor tax is optional. If the NRB will be invoiced back to your client, this field can be left blank and a default tax rate can be assigned using the non-recurring billable item sales tax rate field under the main job form. Receive partially can be used when users need to charge out select items or partial quantities included on the purchase order. Partially received amounts are stored as separate NRBs and can be attributed to different WBS activities and charged back on different tickets. When users select Receive Partially, a window will appear listing all the items on the purchase order. Check each box beside the items you'd like to receive and click on the Select button on the lower right. An NRB window will appear for the selected items. To adjust an item's quantity, double-click the quantity value in the item table. After the change is made, click Save on the lower left. Once the NRB is saved, Aimsio will make note of what items and quantities were received against the purchase order. The next time users receive partially, only the remaining items or quantities will be available to receive. Users can repeat this process until there are no more items left to receive. Receive remainder can only be used if a purchase order has already been partially received. This action will receive whatever is left on the order and create a single NRB capturing the remaining cost. This option is helpful when users are on their last phase of billing. When the receive completely or receive remainder action is used, the purchase order status will be automatically marked as complete once the NRB is saved. If accounts use the receive partially action until there are no more items left or quantities to receive, they'll need to manually mark the purchase order as complete. They can use the action button and change the status to complete. NRBs can be accessed from the purchase orders page by clicking on the action button beside a PO and selecting View Non-Recurring Billables. NRBs can also be accessed by navigating to a job form and clicking on the Non-Recurring Billables tab. The NRB table will indicate whether items have been billed by including the form number under the Billed In column. It's also possible to export and import data using the Aimsio CSV. Aimsio's NRB report, available in the Report Center, will provide a list of all NRBs across every job in your account. The report includes filters to quickly identify a vendor or determine whether the NRBs have been charged. Once non-recurring billable items are created, both web and mobile users can charge them back on tickets via the non-recurring billables table. Any items that haven't been billed yet will automatically appear in this table. Click on the action button to the left of an item and select Charge. Users can adjust the quantity or WBS activity if required. After clicking Save, the item will be marked as charged. Charged items will appear on the PDF version of the ticket once the form has been submitted. When an invoice is created, this charge will appear as its own line item too. There are important metrics on the purchase order page that accounts should monitor. The total dollar amount of all items in a purchase order is visible under the Total column. The cumulative total of all NRBs received against the PO, minus any markup, is visible under the Total NRB column. If there's a discrepancy between the PO total and the NRB total after the purchase order is complete, it may indicate that the rates or quantities have been changed at the time the NRBs were created. It could also indicate that a user has retroactively changed the purchase order after the order has been fully received. Discrepancies like this can skew your job performance reporting, leaving a positive or negative amount remaining in the Committed POs column. Ideally, accounts want their committed PO amount to remain as close to zero as possible by the time a project ends. NRBs can be edited from the non-recurring billables table, but changes to the total will not influence any amounts already charged to a ticket. Authorized users would need to remove the charge from the corresponding ticket first before the updated NRB can be charged again. To learn more about Aimsio purchase orders and non-recurring billable items, be sure to visit our Help Center at support.aimsio.com.